Hello, everyone. Welcome
Oh no.
to week 3, I believe it is, of
Third
Die
game session.
Party Fragged Empire, which is a beta RPG, tabletop RPG that has recently come out of Kickstarter that we are showcasing for everyone on the Die Party stream. Yeah, as you can see, this is a little special one. I am currently doing a 24-hour stream for Extra Life. You can see a donate URL up the top there. I highly suggest you go there and you splash some money for the kids. 100% of that goes directly to the Child's Hospital in Los Angeles, which is my chosen designation for all the donations. I am also currently on the Humble Bundle stream team for this, so the donations from mine also go into the donation pool for theirs as well. So there's that. So without further ado, let me introduce all the players in today's game. We have Philip back from his hiatus, taking on the role of Varian.
What's that?
We have Caleb taking on the role of Gifka.
Hey guys.
We have Graham playing Cannon, the Tourette's character of the group. And we have Jacob playing Caswell. I myself will be playing Dr. Hall's Talios. And last but not least, we have our lovely GM, Mr. Ricaj.
Hi.
Yeah. Good old Ricaj.
Good old Ricaj. Yep, that's his name. Definitely his name. So, Ricaj, do you want to take us through what happened in the previous iterations? We don't actually have any voiceover this time, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, I
ran
mean,
out
things
of
have been
time.
hectic over here at Die Party, so that was an experimental feature that we hope to bring to you more regularly in the future when we have the time and the manpower.
Indeed.
The manpower.
Gross.
So in the last two sessions, things happened. A ship exploded in space. People, hurtled towards an unknown planet's surface, dangerously and perhaps with an unknown fate in the case of Varian. In the last session, you guys landed on the planet. You did a lot of survival stuff, making sure that you got a topographical scan from your escape pods, locating the crash landing sites of various escape pods. People were piloting their escape pods to safer landings and that sort of thing. Eventually, you all met up, but not before Gifka accidentally encountered other survivors from previous crashes of mechanid pirating events. Whatever's going on here, there are apparently occasionally survivors, and they have formed some kind of village. In this village, after all meeting up, you met a mysterious alpha Nephilim who seems to be guiding that village from the shadows, since the villagers.
Tubbsy.
Yeah, Tubbsy. You
Who
guys
could forget
named him
good old Tubbsy?
Cannon hilariously named him Tubbsy, and because he's an alpha Nephilim with no concept of names in the first place, he didn't understand that that would be problematic for any reason.
I tried to tell him.
You tried to tell him, but he didn't really care. So Tubbsy, the mysterious alpha Nephilim who leads this village, at the end of the last session, he explained that your ship, for whatever reason, blew up in the tractor beam. It blew up in the middle and caused those halves to jettison from the tractor beam and crash on the island. Not in, if you could show them the map, Dave.
I could potentially do that.
There is a very clearly surrounding the actual structure that is the tractor beam. There is a field of wreckages and
Ricages?
the spare parts and such. It's clearly the intended crash site. Just by happenstance and luck, your ship did not land there, and so this mysterious alpha Nephilim Tubbsy has urged you that this is the first opportunity they've ever had to get some salvage before the mechanids pick it apart of everything useful. And so he recommended that you split up into 2 teams and try and reacquire whatever valuable resources there are from both halves of your crashed ship.
Yeah.
Which are in which directions again?
So I'm going to draw. I am now going to draw on the thing smoke, where you see smoke rising from these particular.
I can only imagine that I've been chosen to lead one of the parties.
Well, with the only person with
Oh,
leadership,
nothing at all.
I think clearly
I do have the most leadership.
you do have leadership. Do you?
It's lagging.
Do you
Hold on.
actually
it's
have
not-
leadership? Because
Yeah,
I do.
I'm trying to open my thing. No, actually, my leadership is -1.
Lordy.
Gray was a horrible decision, even though it's supposed to be smoke. You can hardly see it, but I guess it's kind of appropriate because you can hardly see the smoke.
Oh, I see
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
You
these
might
are-
want to
these are-
change
these
the
are-
color just for the sake of the stream, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's barely visible.
Yeah, for somehow they're emitting red smoke. Anyway,
Basically, there's one over there and there's one
Yeah.
over here. By the looks of things, yeah.
I guess I'm confused about what these are the 2 halves of this reclamation.
Yep.
Oh, I guess this island is a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Well, it took you many, many, many hours to transverse it, even with a map.
How long would it take to walk from one end of the reclamation to the other?
The ship itself?
Yeah.
Or these 2 halves that have now landed on the planet?
Like, is this all of the ship, or did like a bunch of it fall into no man's land?
You don't actually know, because all you know is where the clouds are rising from and that it's split into half. So you don't really know the state of your vehicle prior to you getting there.
Okay. Fine.
My
Got it.
drawing skills would typically be much nicer, but Roll20 is lagging, and there's nothing you can do about that. So there's a couple things I need before we actually start the top of the session.
Yeah.
I need everyone to tell me what their strength score is.
5.
2.
Dose.
2.
2.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the one thing. The second thing is, remember earlier how I said we're kind of sort of experimenting with the system to test its limits, to push it to the limit? Everybody for guys. Here's what we're gonna... Here's, on this particular, I knew that combat was happening today in this session, and I knew the nature that combat would likely take. But I intentionally and purposefully did not prepare a battle map ahead of time, because the particular experiment that we're going to run today is how quickly can I throw together an improvised battle map using Roll20 and the resources that I've previously prepared. That way I can see how easy it is for us to drop into spontaneous, unplanned combat. So today there will be combat, most probably, unless you somehow magically avoid it, and we're going to see how quickly I can make a battle map. Place
Does
your bets.
guns break?
Yeah, your guns are they're not permanently broken. Right now they're just simply useless, filled with too much jungle mud and leaves and twigs, and you do not have the capacity to repair them in any meaningful way.
So,
So they're
Regi-
usable, but not. It's not a good idea.
So one of the things we're looking for is parts to fix those.
You're
correct?
looking for
Yeah.
right. So you're looking for the amorphous mechanical concept of resources. It's hard to kind of flavor that, especially when you have things like, how does this sword need resources for maintenance? I had to make up a thing about heat damage that was pretty weird and not very believable. But yeah, essentially, you're hoping that you can acquire resources from the downed halves of the reclamation.
Okay.
I guess I find that unbelievable that I couldn't take that from the escape pod.
What?
Nani?
I guess I find that if that's what we're going for to find resources, I don't know why I can't destroy the escape pod for resources.
because you already examined your escape pod, all of you, with various roles to see if there was anything useful on the escape pods, and no one found anything of use in their various bits.
Okay.
Entire ships, and indeed the cargo from those ships, obviously a wealth of resources compared to a tiny one-man escape pod. So, bonus points to someone who can remember, since I forgot the name of the female Kalatoran that you encountered in the village.
You never gave a name.
You never gave a name.
Did you?
I did
Yes,
name
you
her.
didn't have a name.
Yeah, I don't think you ever gave a name.
Was it? No, you gave a name, Hoken, to the Legion guy.
Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Alpha Nephilim.
Yeah.
I don't remember a name for a female.
I think it was mentioned offhand randomly.
Just so you know, did you see the chat just now, Wreckage? A low quality sword costs 0 resources.
Oh, right, but it's not a low quality one though, is
Yeah.
it? It's a nice one.
Yeah.
So,
Well, maybe you can make a low quality one or something like that.
yeah, so low quality swords can be made or involved in a 0 resources campaign. Speaking of which, we have low quality spears that the villagers are using. and wielding.
I see what you're saying.
Uh,
Okay.
Speaking of these low quality spears, I mean, they are taking the time to outfit you guys with them since your weapons are useless.
Yeah.
There are 2 types of spears. There is one type of spear that is made out of a shaft of something that looks like a sort of bamboo, but is not obviously the type of bamboo that you have seen on other planets because it would be different on every planet. But anyway, it's a bamboo analogy. With a spear tip made of some kind of rusted bit of metal
Okay.
acquired from the salvage yards, most likely. This particular spear is light, and so it can be used by anyone, but it's clearly much weaker than the other type of spear they have, which is they have like rebarb poles, steel rebarb, the type of thing that they've obviously acquired from the salvage yards at some point when they made the attempt. It's rusted, but it's just a hunk of metal that was never meant to be wielded as a weapon, so it requires a strength of 3 to use effectively.
Okay.
What's the damage and whatnot on that?
It's okay. So the lighter one. Hold on 1 second. I have this over here. The lighter one has endurance damage 2. Crit damage 2, and a range of 2. So you can do it 1 square over. It's not immediate range.
Can you type this into the Skype chat, please?
Sure, I will type this into the Skype chat.
Thank you.
Lightweight, crappy spear.
I call it the crap steer.
2, crit 2,
Hey,
range 2.
By the way, this is a good place to just mention that we just got a $50 donation from Scott.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
thank you very much for
Awesome.
that.
Thank you.
nice.
That puts us a quarter way to where we need to get to, because I'm being realistic here. I put $200 as my donation where I want to meet, but we can definitely go over that if we try hard enough. So
If we get people in the stream and they just start donating dollar bills, it'll be
So-
fine. We need to get the people in the stream.
So here's the thing that I normally say: if you donate $1 for every single hour, so $24, then we can easily match what the donation minimum is. So yeah, that's my goal, at least anyway. So if you guys have the money to spare, the kids could really use it. So
you know what's
I-
really good? You know what's good TV is to read off stats. Can you tell me the weapon stats that I should have written down? Because if you remember, all my stuff is blank now.
why don't you actually make
a
your
technical error.
thing again?
Because I don't know what any of this stuff means.
You have a piece. Okay.
So, like, Gifka, can you just? I mean, like, Caleb, can you just write down sword stats in the chat, and I'll copy that. And then I think submachine gun stats, just as it goes across. If someone has that.
Yeah, you had a different sword than I did, though. 1 second, I know where it is.
I think it's close enough.
All right, so I've put the stats of both weapons into the Skype chat.
Okay.
The Rebarb Heavy Crappy Spear has an endurance damage of 4, a crit of 3, a range of 2, and a weight of 3. Both of them are slightly harder to crit with than normal weapons.
Sure.
But there's no real, as far as I'm aware, there's no mechanical way to do that. So I'm just going to, because they're crappy, they're slightly harder, especially for the metal exterior of a mechanid. It's going to be hard to get crit damage.
Sure.
Mechanically, I'm going to just figure that out myself. I can't really tell you how that's
Would
going
you
to
just
work.
make it -1 to hit on that?
Yeah, something like because it's not harder to hit; it's harder to crit. Because you can hit them. Period. So I'm gonna have to figure that out when we get to it. But anyway, essentially, the villagers tell you in so many words that open combat with the mechanids is not the best plan. The best plan is to try and gain an advantage on them. We know the jungle; they don't really know the jungle. Because they don't learn and adapt like a person, right? I mean, they learn and adapt, but they don't become jungle dwellers. So they are strongly encouraging both teams to use stealth and the element of surprise to overcome any mechanids that they are going to encounter. Speaking of which, Hoken is going to lead a group of 3. Hoken and 2 other villagers is going to lead one group. He's going to go to the west because, you can see where the smoke is coming from, and they know that the path to the west is going to be harder. It's going to be a more difficult. There's probably going to be heavier mechanid resistance, especially considering how close you guys are to the east crash site as it is. So a team of 3 villagers is going to be led by that girl, Kaltorin, who I'm now going to name Kylie. Why not? And she's going to lead another group of 3 total. And you guys can split up however you want between those 2 groups. Although they would want you to split up evenly so that there's 5 going to each place.
I mean,
So what? 2 in one group, and then we take 2 villagers with us to the other group. Is that what we're saying?
No, there's 3 villagers in each group, and they want 2 of you in each group.
yeah, there's only 4 of us with the village,
yeah.
remember?
No, there's 5 of us.
There's
Varian's
4 of
not
us
here
with the
you.
Varian's not with us.
Oh, yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right, then. Well, I think I should go to the east one. I think that's how I did my voice. I can't remember.
It's hard to remember, but
I have a cold. I'm sorry.
I had more of a throaty one. I was trying.
yeah, you did. Since they're saying that the west one's probably have more resistance, I'm not going to be as useful there, so I'll go to the east as well.
Actually, I'll probably go to the west one, thinking about it. I mean, like, I have quite a lot of exotic skill, so, it's not exactly too hard for me to do that. Yeah, melee weapons, that is, so.
Is Hoken the only other Legion here?
Yeah, Hoken's...
Yeah, Legion are slightly rarer than... he's the only Legion you see. He may not be the only one. He's the only one going on either of the groups.
Okay.
Hoken has a special spear that isn't a rebarb crappy spear or a lightweight crappy spear. He's got a really nice bit of metal that is clearly requires
it's a golf club.
Strength class much harder.
Okay. I'll go to whichever side Hoken does not.
So
Now,
I guess
Hoken's going to the west because it's going to be harder, for sure. And everyone else doesn't. So now we've already got 3 people going
No,
to the
I'm
east.
going to the west.
Oh, you're going to the west. All right, I thought you said east.
And I
Okay.
think Cannon should come with me as well, simply because he's got the best melee. But you're free to do what you want.
Well, okay. I
he's
would
got pretty
prefer
good
to go
melee.
to the east, but
Melee.
I mean, then we have.
Okay. So I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, that means Gifka and Jacob, not Jacob,
Who?
Caswell.
Who?
Gifka and Caswell are going to the east crash site with the girl villager leading the way, and
Yeah.
Talios and Cannon are going to the west crash site.
Cannon said he wanted to go to the east as well. So.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'd rather go to the east.
Okay, well, we
But if
can't.
you- if
Well,
you
they
guys-
don't want you to. They don't want you to split up the group like that. And
Yeah.
I guess I won't stop you guys from doing it because you have free will. But they kind
If
of.
he insists on going to the east, then I'll go to the west.
Okay,
Fair enough.
that's all right. Now, I assume that you guys are allowed. By the way, even if you don't have the necessary strength stat, you can use the heavy rebarb spear. The disadvantage is it makes you overburdened, and I couldn't find the section on overburdened in the thing, so I'm going to make up that what overburdened is -1 to your movement and -1 to hit. So you can still choose to use it, which is, I mean, you've got two choices of spears to use from. Everybody needs to say which spear they're using.
I'm
I
using the
assume
light
people
one.
would-
I'm using the light one.
Okay,
I'm
no one's
using
doing the
rebarb.
overburden then, because both of you guys can use the rebarb effectively.
Yep.
So that means that we've got the two of you using rebarb, the two of you using lightweight. That makes sense. And you guys are going to the east, and you guys are going to the west.
So,
With
basically
that
the
all
two-
figured out, we are now
basically-
finally.
I just like to say basically, it's basically the Taltorns going east and everyone else going west.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
Calatorans in the west group technically, but they're meaningless NPCs that you wouldn't
Yep.
feel anything if they died.
And there's 3 Taltorns heading east. 2 players and 1 person that we actually know.
One of whom it was going, and I think I'm going to begin calling Randy. All
All right,
What,
his name can be Randy.
One question
Sure.
about how weapons work. It says hit and then plus skill in parentheses. What are the skills relevant for submachine gun and sword? And
So what is
spear?
exotic? Submachine gun is small arms.
Okay, got it. Check. Anyway, continue.
All right. With your guys' plan of attack, so to speak, figured out, we're going to finally figure out what happened to Varian.
Mm-hmm.
The pile
All
of
that time
flag,
ago.
formerly known as Variant.
First one out of the ship. And yet his fate has remained a mystery for all this time.
He made it to
Now,
another
Varian.
planet.
At the bottom of the river. So close, yet so far.
The first thing I need you to do, Varian, is roll a 1d20. Nine. Right. Okay. Ooh, lucky you.
Why?
I don't know. So Varian, here's what happened when the ship exploded for everybody else.
Okay.
You were the first one out.
Which means that you were far and away the closest to the planet when the tractor beam finally shut off. The ship exploded, making the tractor beam meaningless. And despite the fact that there were still escape pods in the air, clearly mechanids are not interested in escape pods or indeed the people inside of them. So they simply shut off the tractor beam, and it was at that point that everyone in our party had the opportunity to then reactivate their escape pods. Your escape pod turns on and gets a topographical scan of the landing zone. It's part of the features to help you survive an unknown alien wasteland, or in this case, not a wasteland, but a jungle. So it gets a topographical scan and some other scans besides that no one else had yet been successfully able to acquire from their escape pod. And you now have the capacity to steer so close to the tractor beam itself, you are about to come down in this sort of this circle of junkyard, scrap metal, and etc., where the mechanids clearly intend for things to come down, because again, you were so far and away the first out, which means you can now make I believe it was a command piloting or something roll, maneuver. It's command maneuver roll, something like that.
I believe it was maneuver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
where would that be?
It's on the second
ship
page
stuff.
of your character sheet. It's under ship controls.
Space
Vehicle
adventure.
system skills, yeah.
So, if you look on your main sheet, you got to
Yeah.
pick 4 vehicle skills. Which ones were they? You got command, engineering, operations, and gunnery.
I went with operations and command.
All right, so you do have command. So you have +2 in your +1 in your command.
Yeah.
Did you have any racial bonuses to go into anything?
I have a +1 written down for something, and I can't remember what. to
So
be
have you
honest.
got a 2 or a 1 in command?
A 1 in command.
Okay, so what you need to roll is 3d6 + 1.
Okay.
That's right? Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds right.
11.
11. Okay, so that is right. All right. Well, that's not quite good enough. But luckily for you,
Boo.
things are conspiring against you, or with you, or something.
Oh. I was like, that's not lucky for me.
You are like I said, because you're the first one out, and it takes so long for the ship to explode while you're still traveling down towards the planet. You're dangerously close to this facility when you are landing. But the good news is that the way that the tractor beam works is everything goes straight down until it gets to 50,000 feet up or something, some arbitrary, and then the tractor beam negotiates it down to, as you can see, this ring away from the facility. Clearly, they're trying to avoid actually crashing things into the tractor beam intelligently, which is why there's a big circle for where they crash stuff. Now, because of that, the tractor beam shuts off when you're already heading somewhat horizontally outwards towards that ring of scrap metal. And that means your escape pod is pointed horizontally, which allows you to get some leverage on traveling away from this place.
Okay.
You're not able to land where you would want to. There are, soft clearings and sandy embankments and shallow rivers and stuff that you can see from the control interface that's in front of your face. You're not able to land in any of those such places because you simply aren't piloting well enough. You're perhaps startled by even the ability to suddenly pilot your escape pod as the tractor beam shuts off. You start crashing through tree branches. You're traveling so horizontally that you're basically skimming treetops, and branches are breaking off of your rapidly descending escape pod. Still red hot from entering atmosphere. And suddenly the trees are gone for the briefest of moments, and you see in front of you perhaps some sort of cave or some dark, ominous hole, and your escape pod, you have only the briefest of moments to take that in before you enter the darkness and can see nothing even on your escape pod interface. You sail for a little while longer when abruptly you change direction, and luckily the escape pod is designed to cushion you from impact, or you'd probably have some sort of whiplash. You hear the horrible sound of metal on metal, and then more metal on metal as you apparently screech to a halt, sliding along some sort of unknown metal surface. It is too dark, even though you have an interface to the outside. on your escape pod. It is too dark to see anything on that panel.
All right.